Welcome to the FemiNinja Project. I am your host, Cheryl Ilove, middle-aged ninja hiding in plain sight, dedicated to restoring human dignity one person at a time and helping you unleash your personal power. Discover that it's possible to look like a woman, act like a lady, move like a ninja, and think like a warrior. And remember, men are always welcome on the FemiNinja Project. Welcome to another episode of the FemiNinja Project, and thank you so much for tuning in. I've got a fantastic guest with me today. Her name is Amber Griffiths. She is a mom, an entrepreneur. She owns her own business, and she is a dear friend as well as a rock star as far as I'm concerned. She has a business called Your Brand by Design, and she helps you create your rock star brand. So Amber, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me, Cheryl. I'm just thrilled to be on the show. I'm excited.
Oh, I'm excited too. And I really only met you, when was it? It was about two and a half months ago. And that was when we took a workshop together, a speaker boot camp. And it was kind of like a love fest. It was so wonderful and meeting fantastic people.
It was amazing.
It was amazing. And it was right after that everything kind of hit the fan and we were shut down, right?
Well, I thought about that. I'm like, it's been years since I've seen you somehow. It's been a couple of months.
It does seem like years, doesn't it? And it just keeps going on. So anyway, I'm so happy that you're here with us today. So tell us your story. And I do want you to tell us a lot about how to brand yourself and to become a rock star. But I want to hear how you got involved in this and how you started into your own world of entrepreneurship.
Oh, I would absolutely love to. It's one of those stories. It's not really, you think it's typical or you think it's special, and somewhere in the middle is probably the actual truth. It probably isn't as unique as I experienced it. I graduated from college with my degrees and went right into corporate, as I had always expected and planned to do. Being an entrepreneur had never been a part of my plan. Although looking back, I have always had such an issue with authority. I probably should have just assumed that I would end up being my own boss at some point. I was VP of marketing, which is a really pretty title. I don't know exactly how much it meant, other than I was responsible for about 300 independent contractors and doing their branding, doing their design work. I built up a department. The marketing department was in charge of all of that and was really enjoying most of the people I got to work with. But it just, after, I would say a little over 8 years, I kept thinking, there's got to be more. There has just got to be more than this. And the last 3 years in corporate, I was a part of an executive team. I believe there were 7 of us. I was the only female. I had been there. A lot of transition had gone on with that executive team, and I had been there almost the longest. There was one other gentleman that had been there longer than I was. And so the bosses had come in after I did. They had kind of inherited me. I don't know that was helpful. And again, my issue with authority, but really there was that, it wasn't even a glass ceiling. It felt more like concrete. There's only so much you get to do inside of an office, and with the regulations and at one point they said, your marketing department is a drain. And I thought, how on earth are we a drain when we are the number one recruiting tool? We are the number one thing that sets you apart from every other company like yours in the industry. But you're right, whatever. But really it came down to, I wanted more. And not just more, but I wanted more my way. It came to a point where I thought, even if they came and said, we're going to quadruple your salary, it wasn't the money at that point. It was, I want to be able to explore more opportunities. I wanted to serve more people. And ultimately, I wanted to do it in my voice, in my way, and share my genius the way I wanted to. And really, so much of that it's what I do now, which is helping other people explore their voice and claim their voice and claim their genius and work inside their zone of genius and really serve the people that they are meant to serve in their way.
So there are just 2 things I wanted to mention is it sounds so empowering.
It's really amazing being able to say, this is what I do and this is what I stand for and this is how I do it, is huge.
Something else I wanted to mention too, when you were talking about the ceiling was not necessarily glass, it was cement. And it almost seemed to me like the walls were cement too, just boxing you in this tiny little frame that you couldn't get out of.
Oh, it was quite literally the basement. When I first started there, I had this beautiful office. It was upstairs, et cetera, et cetera. And then as the team grew, they said, no, we need to put you down in the basement. And I thought, there's no light. You know, it was beyond the mushroom effect. It was, we're going to put our creative team in the basement with no natural light, with no access to the outside world. It was this quiet stairway that you could come down and visit the marketing department. And then it flooded from the sprinklers.
No.
Thought, oh my heavens. This is just, it's become more literal, but it really is such as a really horrible metaphor for just being kept in the dark and being, you know,
fed
sheltered.
Stuff.
Yes, precisely. Precisely. I thought you are stifling our creativity on so many different ways that it really was hard. It really was stifling. I mean, and then after the floods, then it's like, oh, the air, even the air feels stifling. The air feels damp. You know, it just, it was kind of a rough spot. And again, even though I loved the people, oh, Cheryl, it took a long time to get out of there, to realize that the worst thing that could happen is I'd have to go get a different job. And that was not the worst thing that could happen, right? I mean, if I jumped and started my own business, I already had this built-in network. I've been networking essentially for 9 years there. And I thought, well, I know what I'm doing. I can do this. I've been creating brands and marketing campaigns for these people for the last 8.5 years. Surely I could do that for myself.
So
Surely.
was it easy then to do that and to make that transition, or did you have fear around that?
Oh, yes. Not just a little bit. My husband and I first started talking about it, and I believe it was more than 2 years from the time I first thought, oh my gosh, I'll just go do this on my own, to the time I actually slid my resignation letter across the table to the powers that be and said, I'm done. Here's my notice, I'm done. So not only was there that fear, but then after, you know, then there's a celebration of, wow, it's taken so long and I'm finally here, getting everything put in place. It still took me another 3 years as an entrepreneur in my own space, doing my own thing, being my own boss, before I fully claimed and was able to speak about what I did.
Wow.
It was, and it's not because this is that part of that story where I'm like, this is like so many entrepreneurs I speak to now, where it's not because you don't know what you do, but putting that into words that matter to someone else and putting it in a way that is succinct. And it's not, I think we get so caught up in the way we do things and the tools and the hows, the specifics, that we forget that someone on the other side of the table or on the other side of the Zoom room doesn't care about that yet. You know, when I work with my clients about their ideal client, I tell them, when you speak about what you do and how you do it, don't get into all the details. Your clients, especially until they get to know you better, they don't want to know all that. They want to know that island that they've been dreaming about with sand in their toes and umbrellas in the drinks, they want to know that it exists, and they want to know that you're the one who can get them there. That's it. Then you can talk to them about the boat that gets them there, and you can talk to them about all the little details. But so often as an entrepreneur, we get stuck in the engine room and we're going through all the details of the engine in that boat. And our clients are like, I just want to know about the drinks. I just want to know about the sand and the beach balls and the comfort and the stability and all those dreams coming true. So part of that is just learning how to speak about that. And part of it is the fear around, if I say what I do, what if they don't care? You know, what if it doesn't matter? It's kind of like when you apply for a job and you put everything that's important to you on a resume and you put it on a single piece of paper and you hand it to a stranger. And you say, here's everything that's important to me, please care. You do that all the time.
So vulnerable.
Oh my goodness. So vulnerable.
You don't want to be rejected, but in reality, not everybody is going to want what you have or what you're offering.
Oh. Honestly, you better hope they don't, because then you're doing it wrong. Right. You know what I mean? You're not designed to serve the masses. That's not how this works. Your people will absolutely respond to you incredibly well. You cannot say the wrong thing to the right people. So it's just and that's that fear of, I need so many clients. I need all the clients. I can do all the things. And then all of a sudden we're not doing what we really love anymore. And we have another job, only we're working 8 hours a week and there's no stability and no benefits.
Right.
So there's a lot of that comes into that brand of those kinds of clarity pieces to get you started.
So in creating your brand and making yourself a rock star, is part of it teaching people, entrepreneurs, how to create boundaries as well?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. There's, that first 3 years as an entrepreneur, so much of what I was doing was I told people I was a graphic designer because I could absolutely do that. That's part of where my training was. But because when I said I'm a brand strategist, people looked at me funny. Like they didn't know. I mean, and granted, this is 15 years ago, but they kind of looked in fact, I had one gentleman who was a surgeon who said, wait, branding, like a tattoo artist? Do you do tattoos? I thought, what? You're a surgeon, right? And I thought, okay, you do your best thing. I will do my best thing. It'll be fine. Out of that fear, I kept calling myself a graphic designer and realizing that wasn't fulfilling. That wasn't getting me the impact that I wanted to make. I wasn't making the money I wanted to make. So I had to start establishing boundaries about what I would do, about who I would work with, about how I would say it. I remember one of my very first clients, it was a big graphic design client. And he would call me on Saturday mornings. And I thought, I didn't work Saturday mornings in corporate. What the heck is this?
Mm-hmm.
And then we're talking probably within the first 3 weeks of opening my business, this man and I met. And so I emailed him the very first week and said, hey, here's my office hours. Here's when I will take phone calls. Here's when I will respond to texts. And anything outside of that isn't a thing.
Good for
you.
you.
I'm like, there's no branding. There are no branding emergencies. That's not a thing. And just because you had a brainstorm on a Saturday morning doesn't mean it needs to get all over me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think just by saying that out loud from really, truly the very beginning and establishing in my own head, I will not take a phone call before 9, even if I'm in my office. I'm not taking phone calls before 9 or after 4.
Good for you.
Cheryl, it's made all the difference in the world. So, I mean, boundaries from timelines like that and when I can help people and when I can't, that's part of branding because you are training people how to treat you. You train people how to work with you. And part of that is hours, part of that is pricing, part of that is project scope. I mean, there's all kinds of things that go into as you create your rockstar brand, as you go on the road to legend and become legend, you get to be very, very picky about what you create.
Thank you so much for bringing this up because I think especially as women that we want to serve so many people because, we're kind of like that's in our DNA or whatever. And it's really hard, especially when you first start out, to be able to create those boundaries and say, no, this is when I'm available. This is when I'm not. And I know a lot of women who just can't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. There are women who've been in business for 20 years who still don't do that.
Oh.
And they can't figure out why they're exhausted. They can't figure out why being an entrepreneur hasn't made them happy. It's not been fulfilling. There's that, I'm trying to think of where I first saw it, but it's a cliche around entrepreneurs are that one class of people who will work 80 hours a week so that they can avoid a job where they are required to work 40 hours a week. And I think that's insane. That's crazy. Why do we allow that? And some of it is in that need to serve. I think some of it is scarcity and fear of, if I don't take this client, will there be another one?
Right.
And after 23 years, I will tell you right now, yes, there will be another one. There will be more amazing. There will be more of what exactly you want if you insist on working with the people that you love and that excite you and that are excited to pay you to do what you love. There will be more of that coming. There always is.
When I still had my office, and it was alternative physical therapy, so it wasn't traditional PT, and it was cash only, there was no insurance. But it's really interesting because I would every now and again go through a phase where I would have a small group of clients that actually were just sucking my energy. Yes. And even when I saw them on the schedule in the morning, it's like, oh my goodness, how am I going to get through this? And I remember one time I actually let probably between 6 or 8 clients go all in the same week. And I thought, oh, how am I going to be able to, recover this, the loss of income, blah, blah, blah. But it was really wearing on my mental and emotional well-being that I thought I can't do it anymore. And it was sucking my energy. And the funny thing happened was probably a week over the next 2 weeks, I got twice as many brand new clients who were just delightful to work with.
Yep. It always happens. Congratulations for that.
Thank you.
There's something to be said. I call those people the $20 the hard way clients. And it doesn't matter if it's $20 or $20,000. If they are not your people, if you are having to nurse them through everything, I mean, depending on, they always talk about this, the demographics of your ideal client and the psychographics. And then we actually move into one that's not really legend graphics, but that's kind of what it is. But it goes beyond both of those. And really, you get to be super particular about who your client is, what drives them, what their desires are, what they like, how you like to work with them. I tell people, if you hear the phrase, could you just, that's a red flag, because it comes through. Could you just do it for free? Could you just do it for a discount? Could you just do it faster than you said? Could you just do these extra things that we didn't talk about before? And what people don't realize is that if you fill up your schedule with $20 a hard way clients, you get to the end and you are exhausted, you are drained, you are testy, like you are irritable, and you've made your $20. And just like you experienced, Cheryl, it happens all the time. In fact, I released someone yesterday and it was emotional and it was hard because I thought, I've been working with this person for so long. And I looked back over the last 6 months and thought, I'm exhausted. All the little extra things that I thought, oh, I'll just do that because I can. Oh, I'll just handle that. Oh, it's okay. And I thought, I have done my own, could you just? And it was draining. One of the concepts that I teach in the League of Legends is there's something about the missed opportunities because you are working with people who are not yours. And some of that is you are your own best $1 million client. And if entrepreneurs can let that sink in just a little bit. So when you are working with someone who wants a discount, wants more than what you can give, is draining your energy like your clients were, you are truly 100% better off letting that client go and focusing on your multi-million-dollar client, which is you.
So there's something I wanted to interject right now, because what I loved was the word that you used was released. You released your client. And the funny thing is, I had to giggle because you were not only releasing your client, you were releasing yourself.
Oh, absolutely. Oh my goodness. I slept so well last night. I mean, you don't realize, I think, and because it's not, it's kind of like, this is how you cook lobster, right? You gradually turn the heat up. Otherwise they jump out. And over the last 6 months, it was just one more little thing. And I know that people listening, I know you've experienced this. You have this 1 or 2 clients and it's, well, I'll just take this. It'll be okay. I'll just do it for less than what I said. Or I'll just, because they asked me, could you just? And I said, sure. Or they didn't ask and I just feel like I want to help you so badly. Or if I don't do this, I might lose you. Here's the thing, people, your ideal client never says that. Your ideal client will never question your value. Your ideal client doesn't say, could you just?
Well, I just have to, again, interject, because what you're saying is so important for business and running a successful business that really fulfills your soul, but it's also life lessons that you can apply to every single aspect of your life. Because as I'm listening to you talk, it's like, well, that would apply to relationships, that could apply to finances, it could apply to health, fitness, every single thing. It's a form of self-care.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Absolutely it is. I mean, we all get into entrepreneurship because we think we want to do it our own way. And then we let all these other traditions, all these other practices, all these other habits, and all these other scarcity and fear and all these other things come in. And suddenly we're running it as if it was a job, and we're running ourselves into the ground. It's part of why there's all these different statistics that, 50% of entrepreneurs don't make it through the first year. And 50% of those who do don't make it past 5 years. And it's not just because, wow, I couldn't make it. Gee, I didn't know how I couldn't make money. That's not what happens. It's because we continue to run ourselves into the ground. We continue to take those clients that are not good for us. It really is those relationships. If you look at it, you have this client that keeps on going all through all these other steps and draining your energy and making you exhausted, it really is time to break up with them.
Uh-huh.
It really is. At this point, we're just not that into them, and we should quit dragging them with us. And because truthfully, as much as you think you're serving them, they're not meant for you. They're not for you. And someone else is going to serve them better because they are meant for them, which means when you release them, you both win.
Mm-hmm.
You will both be better off in the morning. And you're absolutely right. It's self-care. This isn't something like, I look at it, and when I have a question like that in my own business, I think, well, Amber, what would you tell a client? Would you tell a client to take that? Would you tell a client to do that? Like, wow, no. Well, then why are you even considering it? So if you can't do self-care, put yourself as if you were someone else, because I know we take really good care of each other.
That is a great piece of advice. Very good. Good advice. Great advice.
It works. So I think that as we recognize, people always say that when you do your marketing, when you're doing your business, it's all about your ideal clients. And I firmly disagree with that. Your services and products are about your ideal client. Your business is about you.
Mm.
You are the one who gets to live in it 24/7. You are the one responsible. You are the one who is truly fulfilled or truly run down by it. Your ideal clients don't have that opportunity, right? They're doing their own thing.
Mm-hmm.
This is your business, which means you get to do it your way. And just because some guru says, here's all the Facebook ads to do, here's all the click funnels to do, and email campaigns, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, that worked for them.
Right.
That doesn't necessarily mean it'll work for you. So you get to create your own path, decide where it is you want to go, and then let's figure out the next right steps to get you there.
One of the things that you told me a while back was that in becoming a legend, you get to share your story your own way, your story and your branding. And when you do that, you call in the people that you want in your tribe. And
Absolutely.
I thought that was a powerful message.
Absolutely. If you don't believe me, try it. Just try it. There's so many times, in fact, I've experienced it. It's part of why I think I love doing the way I do it, because even if I take on a one-on-one coaching client, I don't have a box that I squish you into and say, okay, if we get you and fit in here and we tuck in all your corners and squish out your creativity and your uniqueness, this will fit and this will make you $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work that way. That's not how we're built, and it's not how your business will flourish. There are definitely some steps and some pillars and some basic fundamental foundational pieces, but you get to do it your own way, because that's how you're going to still love it. That's how you'll still be fulfilled, and that's how you will stick with it. If you do something you despise for 3 years, you won't do it for 3 years. You won't keep doing it. You'll stop and it won't work.
So tell us how to become a rock star, and tell us about becoming legendary.
Oh my goodness. Oh, Cheryl, so much. So here's the thing about rock star. I use that word very differently than other people.
Mm-hmm.
I've been on stage. I've toured with professional musicians. I played keyboards. So there's that part of it that comes in, and music is a huge part of my life. There's that portion. But so often we're like, rock star, woo, she's amazing, she kicks butt. That's kind of the traditional sense of rock star. But the bottom line is, the rock star, if you've ever been to a concert, the lead singer doesn't wander out on stage and immediately start apologizing. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry I'm late, and I'm really, really tired. And oh my gosh, those ticket prices, holy cow, can you believe that? Let's figure out how to get a coupon in here or something. No, never. She struts out to center stage, plants her feet firmly in the spotlight, and says, I'm here, you're here, let's rock. That's rock star. So that's part of it. So part of it is claiming your own voice, connecting with your raving fans, which is your ideal clients, and then crafting a message that connects.
Mm-hmm.
And it's doing it your way.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing sustainable and nothing fulfilling about trying to be someone else. So knock it off.
Well, not only that, it's exhausting.
Oh, exactly. I'm like, I just got tired thinking about it.
I know.
It's not rewarding. It'll never work, because they're them. Be yourself. Everyone else is taken, right? Oscar Wilde. Try it. That's part of that first step in becoming rock star.
I have a question because I've,
Yeah.
taken so many classes and workshops and networking groups, and I've had so many people say you need to follow your competition. You need to watch your competition and see what they're doing so you could emulate them. It didn't make any sense to me.
No, no. I'm over here. You can't see my face. I'm pulling a face.
I feel your
Um,
face.
in my little world, in fact, it started when I was 16. I had a t-shirt that I just thought was snarky and it suited me. But it said, I'm not afraid of the competition. I just don't see any.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I have lived by that for the last 30 years. That's not a thing. There is no such thing as competition. There are other people in your industry for certain,
Hmm.
but there is no competition because no one does exactly what you do exactly the way you do it, and no one serves your people like you do.
Hmm.
It's not competition. The other part of that is it's kind of like following your guru and stepping into that box and hoping it fits.
Right.
If what people in your industry do that works for them won't necessarily work for you. It's okay to say, oh, they're doing Facebook ads. Okay, well, will that serve me? Are my people there? Does that work for me? Let's put my own spin out. Let's create it.
Hmm.
So it's not, and again, there's no unique ideas. There is only the customization and the implementation of the fundamentals.
Hmm.
So it's not about let's all do all the same thing. It's about putting your own creative voice to it. I mean, there's 26 letters in the English alphabet, but
Hmm.
look what Shakespeare did with it,
Hmm.
right? Your own voice is so powerful and so amazing and so magical, and it can be so profitable for you. And really, ultimately, you do your best work. You serve your people the best when you share 100% of that.
So when you start working with people, I mean,
Uh-huh.
how do you do it when somebody comes to you, they're a new client and they want you to help them become legend or to become a rock star? How do you begin and what's the process like?
The very first step, I always start with vision
Mm,
because we want to know where you're going, right? If we don't know where you want to go, how are we going to get you there?
exactly.
The second thing we talk about is where you are now. We get really super honest. What's working, what's not working, what's still in your toolbox that, things that you started 5 years ago or you started when you first launched your business, but may or may not be serving you anymore. I work with a lot of people who think they should be doing newsletters.
Hmm.
And I'm like, well, why are you doing a newsletter? Well, they told me I should. Well, do you like to do it? No. Is anybody opening it? No. Then knock it off. We'll add it back in when it makes sense, but stop letting it because it's an emotional and energetic drain, right? It's not working for you. Stop it.
Not only that, if you're putting that energy into a newsletter, you're sending it out and nobody's opening it. That's devastating. It's like, oh my gosh,
Oh,
no one's
it's
interested.
heartbreaking. It's
Yeah.
heartbreaking. And it's a cycle that feeds on itself, which means it'll never work. So after we decide where you want to go, we talk about where you are. Because again, if you need to get there, we need to know where you're starting from. If you ever plot a trip, if you ever get into your car and say, okay, I'm going to go here, that's the first question they ask, right? Where do you want to go?
Hmm.
The very next question they ask you is, where are you now? It's the same kind of thing with a journey in your business. Where are you going? Let's see where you are at for reals and make sure that it's accurate now. And then we'll plot a course. Then we'll figure out what you actually love to do, not what you thought you did, or not what you told your mother you did, or what society thinks you should be doing, or what your industry does. In fact, there is severe detriment. We're taught as entrepreneurs, we have two options. One, we do what we love and we hope somebody comes and pays for it. Or two, we do what the industry will pay for and we lose our soul.
Mm.
We're drained, we're exhausted, we're miserable.
When you describe it, again, with all the classes and stuff that I've taken, everybody
Mhm.
says you have to have goals, you have to have goals and set goals. It sounds like you're talking more about the journey.
It's so much more about the journey. Like I said, the first step is that vision and then we set benchmarks and goals to
Hmm.
help us stay on track. But really, why are we trying to get there so fast? I mean, once we get there, then we set another one, right? So
Exactly.
we'll never really be exactly where we want to be because by the time we get there, our vision's changed, our goals have changed, they've grown. I mean, goodness, I hope they have. I hope you've evolved past where you wanted to be 5 years ago. I hope you're closer and you get to set new goals. So it really is about the journey. How are you going to travel it? Are you going to do it alone? Are you going to have team? Are you going to, and that comes back to both the rock star portion of it, because really, Cheryl, it's not an either or. There are ways, especially if you develop your persona, establish your authority, and really get on that road to legend, there are ways to have it all. You get to do what you love to do, and you get to be paid well for it. You charge for the value you create and the results that you cause. So as you create, legend is really that step beyond even, you have all of your brand equity, all of your brand legacy, and then you move on to become legend, which is about creating something bigger than you. It is about creating your own way of being and calling those people into you that want that not to be mini yous, but because they see what you have and they say, I want to be in your space. I love the way you show up. It's when you brand well, when you brand your way with and authentically in the most natural, real you, your brand shows up before you do. And it lasts long after you've left the stage. Being legend and creating the legend brand really is, it's taken you anywhere from whatever level of unknown and not famous you are, and really takes you past being memorable and makes you unforgettable.
It also makes you very attractive to the people you want in your tribe, and that want to be in your tribe.
Exactly. There are things that I do when I speak from stage. There are things that I do, depending on the size of the group, that help me sort, that instantly will separate those who are mine and those who are not. And I watch the response to different things I say. And I say them very specifically and very intentionally because I want to see the way people respond to it, because then I can know, you're my people, you are not. And there is no judgment, there's no character flaw, there's no nothing. It's just a way to say, you are my people, you are not. And being able to make that distinction and being willing and able to let those people go who are just not that into you is super powerful. It's amazing. Everybody gets to win bigger and have way more fun and love it when you do it that way.
I have to ask, are you ever surprised? Because there was one time I was speaking in front of a group, and actually it was a men's group, which was really interesting, men only. And, you could see just the amount of engagement, and there were some that were like so engaged with me. And there was one man in particular that I thought, oh my gosh, he just hates me. And he, you could just, it was palpable. I could feel it. And when I was done, when I was finished speaking, he came up to me and asked for my business card. And I thought, well, I'm surprised.
I'm rarely surprised. I partially because I've been doing it for 20 years, and partially I think it depends on how deep. I mean, like I said, depending on the size of the group and depending on how deep you can go. Every once in a while, someone will surprise me, but there's enough there's enough things that they do and mannerisms and behaviors and even just the way, not just the body language, but even just the questions they ask you. You can feel very quickly where they're headed and where they want to head. There have been times over the last years that I think, oh my goodness, there's so many amazing places you can go, and they seem very, very excited about it. But you realize that the desire to go there, it can be very different than the commitment to go there. So that sometimes catches me off guard, because you see someone with such potential and such eagerness to change and move forward. And yet when it comes to doing the work, when it comes to shifting the behavior and changing what got you here so that you can go someplace new, it's very slow going. They are hesitant to make the decisions. And really, it almost always comes out of fear, because this is safe. Even if we're wallowing in the mud, we know this mud. Right. It's safe to us. It's familiar, right? It's secure. And so sometimes the level of commitment shocks me. Whereas there's other people who come in and they don't want it in a year. They want it in 90 days. They want it in 30 days. I'm like, awesome. Let's get going. Let's just do this. And you give them some legend action steps, some homework to do. And the next day they've got it back to you and you think, holy cow, I thought I had an extra day to keep playing with this, but this is great. Let's get going. Yeah, let's move. Wow. So it becomes that journey, right? This is your road. This is your road to legend. So how do you want to walk it? Are you crawling? Are you stopping often to smell the flowers? Are you running as fast as you can and hoping that the stumbling blocks will get moved out of your way on the way?
Mm-hmm. So how do people get a hold of you if they want to work with you or if they want to learn more? Because you are a fascinating person.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I get really excited when I talk about this because there's so much potential in people that I just love helping guide that out.
Mm-hmm.
The easiest way to find me probably is through Facebook. You can find me at Branding Rockstar.
Mm-hmm.
I do Facebook Lives every single Thursday. So if you want to get another taste, another flair, you can watch that. You can also actually just reach out to me directly.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to connect to any, both Facebook and LinkedIn, you can email me at amber@yourbrandbydesign.com. If you have curiosity, if you have questions about the League, which is the community of people who are on the road to legend, you can actually go to yourbrandbydesign.com/the League. So any of those will get you into my space. I would love to hear from you, even if it's just tell me your challenges, tell me your experience, tell me your journey story. I think people are fascinating, Cheryl.
Yes, they are.
I love them, and entrepreneurs are a special breed. We have the hearts of lions. We really do. We are warrior spirit, and I love it. I
think it takes an awful lot of tenacity and, like you said, the warrior spirit to put yourself out there, and it is absolutely terrifying sometimes. You have to believe in yourself and believe in your message and believe in what you're doing, and that there really is a tribe out there that is waiting to hear from you. They're waiting for you.
Oh, absolutely. They're excited to hear. They cannot wait for you to show up in their world and share your story.
So do you have like any final tips or words of wisdom or pearls of wisdom that you would like to leave with us today?
Just this: claim your voice and connect with your fans. And remember that no legend was ever created on her own. Get team, get tribe, get support, get help. But the road to legend it's crazy cool, but don't do it on your own. Call people in.
Well, Amber, thank you so much for being here today. Wonderful talking to you. Great advice, great information, and I know my listeners appreciate it as much as I do. So thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you, Cheryl. It was an absolute pleasure. I appreciate it.
Well, we will have you back again.
Yay!
Everybody, thank you so much for listening. And remember to claim your voice and find your tribe and get that warrior spirit working for you. And you can do it, because that is the way of the FemiNinja. And that's a wrap on another episode of the FemiNinja Project. Thank you so much for listening. And remember, be safe, be strong, and until next time, bye now.